So it's a real Ben Johnson story. Amon Ra St-Brown knows.
You are Locked On Lions, your daily Detroit Lions podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Final day of January, everybody. It's a Wednesday edition of Locked On Lions right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. January 31st, a Wednesday into Thursday, February 1st. Tomorrow, Colton Pouncey, who's one of the Lions beat writers from theathletic.com, will be our guest. We'll get Colton's thoughts on his trip out to San Francisco. Did he get to see the Bay Bridge? Did he have some San Francisco rice-a-roni? I don't know. I'm just kidding. We'll get his thoughts on the season, certainly what happened on Sunday and everything else coming up right here on Locked On Lions. Thanks for making us your first listen and checking us out wherever you get your podcasts. That includes on Apple, Spotify, on YouTube. Thank you for subscribing and watching on our Locked On Lions YouTube channel. We are over 10,000 subscribers. Shout out to our everydayers as well. Please, everydayers, check out Colton Pouncey with us tomorrow on the program. Locked On Lions. Oh, Matt Derry with you, by the way, if I didn't say my name already. Locked On Lions today. Brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets if your first bet of $5 or more wins. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn to get started. Follow us on Twitter at Derry Speaks, at Locked On Lions, Matt Derry Facebook fan page, Threads at The Real Matt Derry, and also, like I said before, our Locked On Lions YouTube channel. Everybody's thrilled. Everybody's in a much better mood the last couple of days because Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator to the Stars, arguably the best OC in the NFL, is indeed coming back. There's been a lot of speculation on why. We went over all of that yesterday. But today we got a little bit of clarity. And I want to get into this today on the program. We're also going to talk about, I got a little history lesson for you. I got some free agent talk. I got some Jack Fox talk, all of that on the show today. Anyway, be that as it may. Amon Ra St-Brown on the St. Brown Brothers podcast. No relation to the Derry Brothers Guardians cast. Some of you insiders will get that one. Amon Ra is on a podcast with his brother, Equanimous St. Brown, the wide receiver for the Bears. I butcher the name every time. Anyway, latest episode of their pod came out this morning, and Amon Ra was talking about Ben Johnson calling him yesterday morning, to give him the news. Quote from the pod, he said he couldn't sleep last night. Ben was thinking about it, and he said there's unfinished business. He wants to stay. He said the guys on the team, he said, me, Jared, Frank, Panay, Decker, all the guys. He said his heart is in Detroit and he wants to stay. End quote. Now, we've heard this before. The old unfinished business routine. All right. Sometimes unfinished business has meant, I didn't like the money that I was getting somewhere else or whatever it is. But St. Brown said that he got that phone call at like 9:30 in the morning on Tuesday morning. And then right around 10 o'clock yesterday is when the news started breaking with Tom Pelissero from the NFL Network, etc., on the old Twitter machine. As Jeremy Reisman pointed out at prideofdetroit.com, and he wrote the piece about it today, the first thing that St. Brown did after he hung up the phone with Ben Johnson was he texted Jared Goff and said, Ben just called me, he's staying. Look, I think Ben Johnson was probably, like I said yesterday, targeted and ticketed for Washington. Maybe his agent is really holding out for $12 to $15 million a year. Maybe the Commanders said not a chance that's happening. We'll see. All right. The Commanders are the lone team now that still have a head coaching vacancy because today Seattle signed on 36-year-old defensive coordinator from the Ravens and former Michigan D coordinator, did a great job here, Mike McDonald. But I do think that Ben Johnson really likes the setup here in Detroit. I don't think he's playing a financial game with Sheila Hamp. I think he's got 2 years left on his contract, and he's good with being here. What a testament to this franchise that Ben Johnson, who weeks ago said, best leader I've ever been around was Dan Campbell, to want to stay here and win a Super Bowl and bring a Super Bowl championship to Detroit. And for now 2 straight years, pass, up, if I could speak, a chance at a head coaching job. I mean, Carolina wanted him last year. Denver was talking, all these teams from Indianapolis. This year, we know Seattle was interested. We know Washington was really interested. Ben Johnson interviewed a bunch of places. He's staying again. Now, he might be committing a cardinal sin here. Strike while the iron's hot. Maybe next year the Lions offense takes a step back. Maybe something happens. Who knows? Knock on wood. But Ben Johnson's betting on himself. And I truly do believe he feels like it is unfinished business. Maybe he and his family like it here. They've been here through 2 regimes. Remember, they started here with Patricia and stuff and Quinn. So I love that. I love that. Now, again, Ben Johnson may hit the podium tomorrow or the next day or whatever and say the same thing that St-Brown said, unfinished business. I don't want to go. Those opportunities were great, but this is where I want to be. I want to stay. I want to get us to a Super Bowl. And behind the scenes, his agent might be telling teams, I'm going to wait it out and hold out for a Jerry Jones $12 million offer next year to coach the Cowboys. It's possible. But publicly, and when you see quotes, and when you see tweets, and when you hear national people talking about it and saying, wow, the offensive coordinator in Detroit is staying at a lesser job than a head coaching job for 2 straight years because of the culture, because of what Dan Campbell has done, what this team has done, what these players mean to him, that tells you you've turned a corner as a franchise. It has. There have been plenty of teams that have gotten far in the playoffs in many sports that deep down had some deep-rooted issues, had some problems, had some problem players, had some problem coaches. Front office had to make some moves. Not this franchise. All right, this is pretty sweet. Now, again, Dan Campbell said it the other day, could be tough to get back. All right, the division's going to get better next year, especially if the Bears get rid of the Hall of Fields and the Vikings get their quarterback and Kirk Cousins back, who's a free agent, of course. But for now, unfinished business, calling players personally to tell them, I'm staying, I want to be here, we got more work to do. That's never happened to the Detroit Lions, ever, right? Ever. So, pretty cool. And I salute Ben Johnson on that. Now, Ben, do me a huge favor. No more flea flickers. No more Penei Sewell running pass patterns when you're up 17 points. Let's just keep it simple, brother. Let's just keep pounding that rock next year. But it's a great coup to keep the offensive coordinator around. I don't know about the rest of the staff. Antoine Randall L., Tanner Engstrand, Aaron Glenn, Hank Fraley. These teams want these guys. They've got a really good staff. The Lions do. But who knows? If Aaron Glenn doesn't get the Washington job, you got to figure he's coming back. And there's something to having chemistry, having the same staff, having the same position coaches, and keeping it consistent and not changing every year. That causes chaos, and we want to bring order to chaos. So there you go. Little history lesson for you. Lions want to get back, got to get back to the NFC Championship game next year, right? That's what they're looking for. How difficult will it be? And what does the history say about it based off of what took place on Sunday? We'll get to that coming up next right here on Locked On Lions. We're brought to you today by our friends at eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. What brings home the winning trophy is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance, from superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, Your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay guaranteed fit. Only available to U.S. customers. I'm back with you on a Wednesday edition of Locked On Lions, a Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Appreciate you guys making us your first listen, checking us out wherever you get your podcasts, and again, subscribe on YouTube. All right, a little history lesson for you. What's it going to take for the Lions to get back to the NFC Championship game after blowing a 17-point lead this year in the NFC Championship game? What's it going to take? All right. I had my crack research staff look this up, and they're the best in the business. They know who they are. The Lions are the 7th team in NFL history to cough up a 17-point halftime lead in a playoff game and then go on to lose. All right. 7th team to gag away a 17-point lead in the playoffs and lose. All right. Of the previous 6, only the 2018 Kansas City Chiefs have made it to the title game the next year. There's going to be a quiz afterwards. Does everybody get that? Now, if you recall, the 2017 Chiefs were quarterbacked by one Alex Smith. Then in 2018, they turned to a young kid named Patrick Mahomes. And we've seen how good old Patty has been doing the last few years. Shout out to the Chiefs. How about them Chiefs? We'll talk about the Kansas City Chiefs last Sunday. How about the Chiefs, by the way? And I'm not going to get into this because it starts getting political and annoying. But if you're really bothered by Taylor Swift being shown at these games, then just stop watching. She's a nice person. She's a superstar. Her and Travis Kelce are a cool couple. Why? I'm rooting for the Niners. Taylor Swift is ruining my NFL experience. Get a life. Come on. There's a lot worse people out there. And some of you that are bitching, your daughters love her. Stop it. Anyway, the 2018 Chiefs were the last team to get back to the AFC Championship game after blowing a 17-point halftime lead and losing the previous year. So you're 1 out of 6 so far. Hopefully the Lions make it 2 out of 7 next year. That's not going to be easy to do. You look around the NFC, it's interesting. At the start of the year, we went, oh my God, San Francisco, Philly, everybody else, right? Those were the top 2 teams in the NFC. Then people said Dallas, people said Detroit. Seattle's name came up at the start of the year. Then toward the end of the year, it was, all right, it's definitely the Niners are the 1 seed. Maybe Dallas, all right? They were playing well at the end of the year, although the Lions showed in week 17 that they could beat Dallas in Dallas. So, if you handicap the NFC, if you're thinking about it, and again, Lions have to get home playoff games again next year. All right. They've shown it's been difficult to win on the road. Dome team in the NFC Championship has never won on the road outdoors. All right. Some people said that was the 93 Cowboys, but no, there was a roof over that. There was a hole in the roof there at good old Texas Stadium. So it's not going to be easy, but I think this team can do it. And they've got to make some upgrades at cornerback. They've got to make some upgrades at edge. Probably got to add another D tackle. I'm going to talk about that coming up momentarily. Graham Glasgow's got to come back. The Lions have interest in him. He has interest in returning. The Jonah Jackson situation should be interesting at left guard. Lions do have about $50+ million in salary cap space to continue to keep players. But again, they've probably got to re-up Jared Goff soon. They've got to Penei Sewell's money goes up. You got to think long-term about Amon Ra St-Brown. There are, other players the Lions are going to want to bring back. I mentioned Glasgow. You want Glasgow back, he's going to want to raise. All right. If they're interested in keeping Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, I'm not, but if they are, he's going to want to raise. So just a few things to consider when we're talking about the Lions. But I think they can absolutely get back to the NFC Championship game. They showed this year as a bit of an underdog in this last game. They can hang with anybody, and they did. You know, you look at it real fast before I don't want to get to this PFF free agent list. You look at the division, everybody thinks it's a foregone conclusion. Caleb Williams is going to Chicago. I mentioned Minnesota before with Kirk Cousins. Green Bay really came on at the end of the year. But remember, the Packers dug themselves a hole at the start of the year, and everybody wrote them off. Right? I don't know if you ever listen to Adam Shine on Sports on Mad Dog on Sirius XM. He hated Jordan Love. He said he can't play. He's not good at football. And once the Packers got embarrassed by the Lions at Lambeau Field at the start of the year and really kind of went in the tank at the beginning, everybody wrote them off. Now they're going to have a little bit of a target on their back. You know that some of you are going to get those magazines at the grocery store or the drugstore, those preview magazines and Lindy's and Athlons and this one and that one. They still make those, right? And there's going to be some prognosticators in August and July. They're going to pick the Packers to win the division. Everybody picked the Lions this year, and the Lions won it. And the Lions are the better team than the Packers. I know Green Bay beat the Lions on Thanksgiving, but just get ready. There's going to be some people hopping on that Green Bay bandwagon and saying, man, Jordan Love is special, won a playoff game in Dallas, nearly won one in San Francisco, and they're going to pick the Packers over the Lions. So we'll see how the Lions respond. But Brad Holmes has done one thing. He's done a lot of things well, but he's done one thing very well, and that's draft. And you bring in more young talent to this roster. Lions have 4 picks in the first 3 rounds. Remember, they got Minnesota's 3rd round pick in the Hawkinson trade. That's adding more bullets to the chamber, adding more to the arsenal, as Jim Price, rest in peace, used to say. Nice area. Great folks. Racky Tack. Oh, by the way, just another side note. I'm looking on my calendar to try to clear the some dates in October for that Tigers parade. Now that Colt Keith is signed long-term. Some of you slappies on the Twitter machine, my goodness. Kid hasn't played 1 game with the Tigers yet. People, oh, settle down. They're gonna be better, but settle down. I'm on one today. Where am I going? Oh, coming up next, let's do this. I got to talk about the punt god, Jack Fox, and also Pro Football Focus put out their top free agent list. I'm going to talk about the Lions free agents. We'll do maybe some of that Thursday and Friday, but I want to specify 5 of the top 7 free agents from PFF are all Lions needs. 5 of the top 7. And I want to get into that next right here on the Locked On Lions podcast. All right, folks, we told you earlier about FanDuel. Happy Super Bowl to all who celebrate from our friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. If you're like me, Super Bowl Sunday is all about scoring the best seat on the couch, grabbing your favorite football snacks, and then helping your friends as they're placing their bets. All right? Super Bowl Sunday is awesome. You get together with people. I know it's not the Lions, but we still got to watch, right? Got to see Usher out there and Reba McEntire and Post Malone and all these people. Come on, let's go. Anyway, FanDuel has many ways for you to end the season with a win or 2 or 3 with your bets. Not only can you bet on who's going to win Super Bowl 58, but FanDuel also has bets for which players will score a touchdown, how many points will be scored, and so much more. New customers, if you join today, and you'll get $200 in bonus bets, $200 if your first bet of $5 or more wins. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to sign up. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner, sports betting partner of the NFL. All right, so let's do this first. I want to get to some free agent talk, but I saw this the other day. Jack Fox in the 3rd quarter against the Niners on Sunday did something that was just remarkable. So remarkable that it almost broke a record. Do you realize that punt by Jack Fox was 74 yards? 74 yards. Chase Lucas, of course, stepped in the end zone, or else it would have been a net of 73 yards, and the Lions would have had the Niners pinned back at the 1-yard line. Again, another mistake made by the Lions that day. But Jack Fox's third quarter punt on Sunday traveled 74 yards, was the third longest punt in playoff history. That's not bad. Mike Horan, no relation to Pistons media relations man Michael Horan. Mike Horan of the Denver Broncos had a 76-yard punt in the 91 playoffs. So Jack Fox, fourth longest punt, not third. Fourth longest punt in NFL playoff history, 74 yards. Mike Horan, 76. That is pretty sweet. Pretty sweet. He was a major weapon this postseason. That's somebody too, like whatever Jack Fox's contract is, rip it up and give him a raise. They have got to have him here forever. You know, we talk about the playoff run and winning 2 games, and man, Goff was really, really good, and Jahmyr Gibbs and the touchdowns, and Amon Ra against the Bucs, and all these things. But Jack Fox had a whale of a postseason, and he was 2 yards away from a record, from tying the Mike Horan record from 1991. So pretty special, and deserves his flowers, man. He does everything. Kickoff guy, holder extraordinaire, and just a damn good weapon punting the football. And it's just too bad that third quarter punt was not down at the 1. Of course, Niners got it at the 25, and went down the field and took the lead on a 27 on a field goal from Northville's own Jake Moody. So there's that. All right, last thing on free agents. I have said this, and I'll continue to say it. The Lions in free agency in the draft have got to get some corners, have got to get some D linemen, first and foremost. Now, again, Brad Holmes doesn't subscribe to the Matt Derry theory about need. He just gets the best available players. I do think he knows they need corners, edges, another interior D lineman, and all of that. We'll see what he does. He's not been one to go out in free agency and spend a lot of money. Cam Sutton got a 3-year deal at like $10 million a year. They re-signed Anzalone, gave him a 3-year deal. There's been a lot of 1-year deals handed out by Brad Holmes as well. He didn't do like his predecessor signing Vitae for like 5 years. So on PFF, Pro Football Focus, we love PFF, on their list of the top 50 free agents, 5 of the top 7 fill Lions needs. Chris Jones, D tackle, Kansas City. Josh Allen, number 3. Edge, Jacksonville. Brian Burns, number 5. Carolina, edge. Justin Madubuike, defensive tackle, Ravens. I love that kid. Loved him in college at A&M. Go back and watch the old Locked On Lions or listen to him from years ago when I said I loved Madubuike in like round 3. And Christian Wilkins, a very good nose tackle for the Dolphins, came in at number 7. Kirk Cousins was 2 and T. Higgins was 4 on this list. So Chris Jones, Josh Allen, Brian Burns, Justin Madubuike, Christian Wilkins were 5 of the top 7. They're all defensive linemen. Would I love to see Brad Holmes write a fat check for one of these guys? I would. All right. Chris Jones, I don't think is leaving the Chiefs. Okay. But can you imagine Chris Jones next to Aleem McNeil? Hello, Madubuike? Josh Allen from the Jags, not the quarterback, the edge. Brian Burns' game kind of went downhill this year. Didn't have a great year for Carolina, but I'll still take Brian Burns over the ghost of Charles Harris, the Okwara brothers, or anybody like that. Justin Madubuike of the Ravens is really starting to come on as a younger interior defensive lineman, and Christian Wilkins is as good as they get as far as interior D lineman. That's a good group right there. Again, will Brad Holmes pay the freight 15, 16, 17 million for some of these guys? Chris Jones, I'm assuming, is going to want over 20 million a year. He's arguably the best interior D lineman in football. number one free agent on the PFF list. These are all high impact players. Burns would probably be last on my list of those guys. But again, Lions need another edge. They've got to get another edge rusher opposite of Aiden Hutchinson. Julian Okwara will not be back. Romeo Okwara will not be back. Charles Harris will not be back. Was Kaminsky on a 2-year deal? I think he was. Pascal Will, he kind of plays both inside and outside. James Houston, we'll see about him, what the Lions want to do with him. I mean, he'll be back, but you just never know. Those are some good names. It's just kind of ironic. You look at the list and you're like, need. 5 of the top 7. Got to get a corner too. Got to draft a corner, got to sign a corner. But the Lions are still in pretty darn good shape when it comes to this roster. This is a much improved roster with a lot of talent. All right, tomorrow, Colton Pouncey will join us from theathletic.com, Lions beat writer. Get more thoughts on his trip to San Francisco and what he thinks about Ben Johnson. And certainly we'll ask him too about some of these free agents as well. We'll also get a little chatter in this week about the what's going on down at the Senior Bowl in Mobile too. Signing off for a Wednesday edition of Locked On Lions.